An official from the OAS on Grand Bahama this past weekend. 2 local ministers addressing the issue of flooding at the Fishing Hole Road. And the island of Abaco showing small signs of recovery. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, an official with the Organization of American States on Grand Bahama this past weekend to view the devastation left behind by Hurricane Dorian. Tonight, Megan Shepard tells us that the Minister of Foreign Affairs led the tour of communities that were battered in East Grand Bahama.
Foreign Affairs and a Member of Parliament for North Abaco, the Honourable Darren Henfield, leading a delegation into East Grand Bahama. The purpose of the trip, to give the Secretary General to the Organization of American States a first-hand look of the devastation caused by Hurricane Dorian.
The first trip he came here, he had a courtesy call with the Prime Minister where he received a full brief of the hurricane, the aftermath, and what our progress was moving forward. He determined that he would return and have a look personally at Abaco and at Grand Bahama. And so that's really the purpose of the trip, was for him to have a first-hand look. It is important for trips like this by people like the Secretary General of the OAS, because it keeps the Bahamas in focus. It brings more focus to climate change and the resultant negative impact of climate change, which he witnessed firsthand in Abaco and here in Eastern Grand Bahama today. So we're very grateful for the visit.
Deputy Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama, the Honourable K. Peter Turnquist, also a part of the delegation. He says that the residents are grateful for the continued support of the international community. He added that following such a historic storm, the international community is indeed watching the recovery efforts of the Bahamas and using this as a learning experience.
For this particular storm, the entire region, in fact the world, is looking at what has happened here and how we are addressing it, the needs that have been highlighted and the vulnerabilities that have been highlighted as a result of the storm, to figure out how we systematically can address these things and prepare ourselves in the region and all of the small island states more robustly to be able to address the challenges that inevitably comes from this kind of catastrophe.
Secretary General in the Organization of American States, His Excellency Louis Amargo, calling this one of the most devastating experiences of his life. He says that he wanted to see the destruction firsthand in order to spread the message to the international community.
The material losses, that will be absorbed. Bahamas is proving itself very strong. The work has been admirable and it has been achieved a lot in very short time. Nevertheless, of course, international community should be ready to keep delivering, to keep giving cooperation, to keep assisting Bahamas. Second, that Bahamas has been in the front line of a terrible struggle, a terrible fight. It is a fight against climate change. That is a fight that was not started by Bahamas, but Bahamas has paid a very high price. We hope that this would be understood by the international community, and that we'll be able to, of course, be more efficient in the way we deal with climate change. Climate change is not something that we have to negotiate for the future. Climate change is something that is happening here and now.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Megan. Well, an age-old problem resurfacing once again in the Western District over the weekend as adverse weather conditions made it difficult for residents who travel to and from that part of the island. Flooding at the Fishing Hole Road on Saturday morning, forcing authorities to spring into action. Tonight, the Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction is ensuring the public that the issue is resolved. Jimmy Lemizik has more.
Strong northeast winds causing coastal flooding in some areas of Grand Bahama. From as early as 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, residents in the West Grand Bahama community were unable to successfully cross the Fishing Hole Road due to rising waters, making the road impassable. Now, this has been a long-standing issue which the Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, Iram Lewis, says they are still working to address. He notes that they were able to contact the contractor for the causeway, All Bahamas Construction Company Limited, to help mitigate the situation.
We were able to alert the contractor this morning. They were here on site right now making the roadway or the causeway drivable to allow vehicles to get over. But we're doing our best to ensure that persons can travel from east to west, from west to east in a safe manner as possible.
Also on hand to assess the situation was Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Peter Turnquest, who says that the safety of residents remains a major concern.
Again, this is one of those unfortunate circumstances where this bridge has been washed out as a result of the Hurricane Storm Dorian. Everybody's working furiously to rectify the situation and put it back so that it can be opened for traffic on a permanent basis. But for today, we are very appreciative of the workers who have come and put in the required fill and graded the area so that at least the area is passable so people can get back and forth to West Grand Bahama.
Now, Minister Lewis is thanking the public for their patience and ensuring that his ministry is doing all that it can to make sure that the causeway is safe enough for crossing. He's also apologizing for any inconvenience caused. Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Well, that major oil spill at the Equinor Statoil South Riding Point terminal is still a serious concern for many. And while officials from the oil company say that some 50,000 barrels of oil have been recovered, members of the Bahamas National Coalition Party believe that the effects of the oil spill will be around for years to come. They are calling on the Norwegian government to be held accountable. Ramiko Knowles has more.
When Hurricane Dorian struck, Equinor Statoil was storing a total of 1,870 million barrels of oil. Since then, Equinor officials have stated that the calculation of oil spill versus oil recovered will never fully match, as the collected oil contained water. President of the Bahamas National Coalition Party, Wesley Campbell, says the oil spill poses a threat to persons living in East End. The Norwegian state is the largest shareholder in Equinor Statoil East End, and Campbell says he believes the Norwegian government now has a role to play in the redevelopment of East End, Grand Bahama.
The fact of the matter is that the oil spill that has taken place in the northern Grand Bahama area affects the flora and the fauna, it affects the community, and it affects the lives of those persons who will be living there for generations to come. The fact that oil has spilled in the vicinity and has gone into the ocean and into the surrounding environment means that the water lenses of Grand Bahama are going to be damaged for generations to come.
Campbell says he is convinced that the oil spill will have an impact on the health of persons living in the area, particularly as a result of oil contaminants in the soil.
We raised the issue with the Norwegian government that a minimum amount of $5 billion should be paid to the Bahamas government for the redevelopment of the eastern end, so that the lives of our citizens who live there, their children, and their future generations would be able to at least live a life free of the pollutants and contaminants that they will be exposed to.
President of the New Union Big Sioux, Doyle Julian Russell, says the Norwegian government should apply the same standards to Bahamians as they would to their own citizens.
It's been 67 days after Dorian, and we have not heard of a real good plan as yet, or how the government should be able to do it. What is definitely silent about this whole thing is that some of our NGOs or trade union movement, I'd like to call them, are quiet.
Ramiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Commerce returning to the island of Abaco last week. Many businesses and homes were completely destroyed and are now unrecognizable. However, Maxwell's food store sustained only minor damage, and after 9 weeks, that establishment has reopened for business. Megan Shepard reports.
The island of Abaco continuing its recovery efforts since the passing of the worst hurricane in Bahamian history, while some residents continue to struggle to find a sense of normalcy, particularly in central Abaco. One major sign of hope has returned to the Marsh Harbor community. On Wednesday, November 6th, the island's major food store, Maxwell's, opened their doors to the public. Store manager Rochelle Lightbourne says that thankfully the building did not suffer significant damage.
We had some damages. One of the walls blew in by our health and beauty section. I guess you could say we had enough damages to where, we were not able to save a lot, especially the perishable items, in the beginning. But other than that, we were able to help the community.
Lightbourne says that the cleanup project was a team effort by store employees.
We just had a lot of our staff come in with the cleanup efforts, and we still had stock, so we were able to use some of that stock, and then we brought fresh stuff in as well. As you can see, we have a lot of new fruits and vegetables in, and the store is stocked.
Now the road to recovery is a long one for the island. Lightbourne says that the store is stocked with all of the necessities, and they're also housing other business entities on premises.
Well, we have our hardware section is going to be coming. We have some of the stuff in now, a lot of houseware stuff, like our comforters and all of that. Bowls, containers, grocery items, fruits, vegetables. We also have some fresh food that, we have plated up and priced already.
While many Abaconians have had to leave the island due to the major destruction, Lightbourne says that the reopening of Maxwell's will be a major benefit to those that remain. She adds that she hopes this encourages others to feel comfortable about returning.
Coming back, we all needed something, to look forward to. And I think with us opening was a big step. We also have other entities that are coming into the building as well, as like Commonwealth Bank, Cable Bahamas, BTC, our local pharmacy. We have also Frederick's Agency and Abaco Insurance in the building as well. So basically it's like a mini mall, I guess you can say. We have everything here for, for people to come home. So at least if we're open and people are, they would want to come home, so it's a fresh start for everybody.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Good news there. Thank you, Megan. Stay with us. There's more news on the other side of the break.